Channel 7 Action News starts right now.
And we begin with breaking news. As many as 4 Detroit police officers have been shot inside the Northwest District on Detroit's northwest side.
We understand it's a chaotic scene right there now. Let's go straight to Action News reporter Tom Wade, who's live outside the police station on Warwick. Tom, what do you know?
Well, Glenda and Dave, just an unbelievable scene out here on Warwick and Plymouth. As you said, I just spoke with a police officer who works at this precinct. She said that 4 officers had been shot inside here, including a commander. She says that she believes his condition is very serious. He could be fighting for his life right now. The other 3, we understand, are a sergeant, a lean officer, and a patrolman. Their conditions are listed as temp serious, so that is much more promising. This is video that we shot as we arrived on scene here, someone being wheeled into an ambulance. We don't know if this is the suspect. Our understanding is that suspect was killed after he opened fire in the lobby of the precinct. One report, preliminary report, says that he shot through a window. We're not sure about that right now. We're waiting for official confirmation. We do understand, though, he was using a shotgun and that this happened during roll call, and he opened fire at that time. As I said, 4 officers shot, one of them in very serious condition. I'm here with Taria Des Fernandez. Now, you have a relative who works in this precinct.
My brother works here.
And he's okay?
He's okay, thank God. He's okay.
And what do you know? Have you talked to anyone inside? Have you talked to him?
I talked to my brother. He just let me know that he was okay. I was at home and I got a call that it was a shooting inside the precinct. And, of course, you just panic and you hurry up and get here.
And at that moment, you were thinking, what happened to my brother?
Making sure he was okay, as well as his co-workers. I mean, we know a lot of the co-workers that work here also, so just praying that everybody was okay.
I mean, these guys are putting themselves on the line here every day. This is a tough area in some neighborhoods, and they are absolutely always putting themselves at risk. What was the scene like when you got here?
Just officers everywhere. And one of my friends met me down at Plymouth. She had saw my brother's car and told me that she saw his car here. So I talked to my mother. He is okay, thank God. Now I'm just praying for the officers that's in the hospital right now.
Our understanding, absolutely, and our understanding is this happened during roll call.
I'm not for sure. I don't have any of that information yet. I haven't spoken to my brother in depth.
And there was video we just showed to our viewers of one man being pulled out on a stretcher. He was taken to an ambulance. Another person, a police officer, we believe, had kind of a torn up uniform. Definitely a struggle at some point went on in there. The suspect, we understand, is dead. Your brother, is he still here?
Yes, he is. He's still inside the precinct.
And is he talking to officers at this point?
I would imagine so. He hasn't called me back, but I'm just going to wait. I need to put my eyes on him and make sure he's okay.
What's the first thing you're going to say to him?
Just I love him and hug him.
What do you tell people out there who watch these officers out here and who watch these officers put their lives on the line? You were saying to me earlier that people don't get it sometimes. They don't understand what it's like as a relative of an officer.
They don't understand. My brother's out here risking his life. I also have cousins that are on the force, and they risk their lives every day to help the people in the community, and they don't think about when something happens that it's relatives like me, my mother, his wife, his kids that are affected when something happens to these officers.
It's unbelievable. Thank you, Taria. We really appreciate it. Let's go back live, Guy, over to this scene here. You can see a huge police presence outside of the precinct here on Warwick and Plymouth. That is a massive police presence here. Obviously, they need to figure out exactly how this happened, how this man was able to just stroll in here with a shotgun and just opening fire, gunning down these police officers. Once again, I'm going to tell you, we believe the commander of the station is in the worst condition. We don't know the exact state of his condition right now. The deputy mayor is walking up right now. I believe he is coming here right now to check on these officers. The officers, we understand, were taken to Sinai Grace. We have a crew there as well. We believe they are preparing for a press conference in the next half hour. But anyway, this guy apparently just came inside the lobby and just started firing his gun. At some point, officers were able to take him down, and it's not clear if he died here on the scene or if he was taken to the hospital and died there. But officers have been streaming in and out of here, trying to check on their fellow officers, trying to check on anyone who might have been in here at the time. A lot of concerned faces. The chaplain was here just a few minutes ago. She was heading on over to the hospital, very concerned about the folks inside this building. Obviously, a huge, just unbelievable explosion of violence here. And I don't think anyone can wrap their heads around this right now, how someone could just get inside of a police station and just start firing at police officers. We don't know anything about the suspect at this time. We don't know who he or she is. We don't know if they have a criminal record or why this person would have done this. All we can tell you right now is that officers are I think everyone here must be dumbfounded by what is going on. And you heard the relative of one of the officers who was uninjured here. You heard her say that it's just mind-boggling that these things can happen, and especially to a relative. You just don't know every time they leave the house and come out here to fight crime every day on the streets in Detroit and beyond. But that is the very latest here, guys. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Great work on the scene. We saw Saul Green, the deputy mayor, go into that police precinct. We understand that within a half hour or so, Ralph Godby, the police chief, will be making some sort of a statement there or at the hospital regarding the shooting of these officers inside the Northwest precinct.
And as Sergeant Aaron Stevens told us, there's so much to digest and wrap their head around right now. I mean, you can see in Tom's live shot behind you, Tom, and we're still looking at you, all the people moving around trying to make sense of what happened. But let's turn now to Action News reporter Brandon Trutling. He's live at Sinai Grace Hospital where the officers were taken. And Brandon, what can you tell us from there?
Well, you know, you have several officers here in support of the officers that were shot and are being treated. I had the opportunity to speak with the spokesperson for the department. She says at this time she's really trying to gather facts. There's really no information that she can pass along to us. But you guys mentioned a press conference, and it should start, we were told, within the next half hour or so. It's at that time we understand that the police chief is going to really inform us and let us know as to what's going on. Again, those officers are being treated here at the hospital. The conditions are not known at this time. But again, I can tell you that you have several officers here visibly shaken in support of those officers that are being treated. Of course, as we find out more and the press conference happens, you guys will be the first to know. Reporting live from outside of Sinai Grace Hospital on the city's west side, Brandon Trutling, Channel 7 Action News.
And Brandon, there's been some concern for the commander that may have been hit in this shooting. Well, you're saying that you don't know, but is he okay? It's our understanding he may be the worst off of the four.
Well, I tried posing that question to the spokesperson with the department, and she said at this time she really is trying to wrap her mind around everything that has happened, and she truly at this time doesn't know. She went inside to go try to gather more information, and then she says as soon as she finds out more, she's going to keep in contact with us, so of course we can pass that information along.
All right, very good. Brandon, thank you very much. Brandon Trutling reporting live from Sinai Grace Hospital. So reports as many as 4 Detroit police officers shot late this afternoon inside the Northwest District. That's on Warwick and Plymouth on Detroit's northwest side. And our understanding is that there's a desk commander, a lean operator, also a female sergeant
yes,
is what we're being told. May have been the first officer shot, and this suspect, we're told, had a shotgun.
Yes.
Walked in as just as a regular citizen, apparently not raising any particular alarm. That's some of the information that we're getting now from some of our reporters and sources. And
officers were able to get that suspect, if you will, open fire and was able to take him down. Right. So we do know that he no longer is living.
That's right. The suspect in this police shooting is dead. We've got much more coming on this story for you as our news continues. And of course, this deadly shooting comes on the heels of the death of Livonia police officer Larry Niehazel.
Officer Niehazel was shot Monday in Walled Lake when confronting a suspect as part of an undercover sting. Officer Niehazel and the suspect both died after exchanging a barrage of gunshots in the backyard of a home. The officer's funeral was Friday. And we're continuing to follow this breaking story. Coming up at about 6:15, we'll go back out live to Action News reporter Tom Waite at the scene, at the district, and check in live with Brandon Trutling at the hospital where the officers were taken.
Anytime you have a situation like this, officers in the vicinity rush to that scene, and so we're going to have much more still to come. In the meantime, outside we have bone-chilling temperatures.
Meteorologist Olga Breeze is standing by now. Olga?
Yes, indeed. We haven't felt something like this in quite a few days, but today we got some sunshine working through, but temperatures this hour still very, very cold. We have dipped down over the last 30 to 40 minutes, down into the lower teens, even seeing some 10s popping in on the map. But it's the winds that will give us those wind chill values, making it feel like below zero in most areas right now. You can see the skies remaining clear, high pressure still in control, but changes are on the way. So let's take a look at how things fared for the afternoon. We got up to a high of only 18 degrees today after starting off at about 3 this morning. We're far from average, but we'll get a little bit closer to the mark as we head later on into the week. With those winds out of the northwest, we'll start to shift just a little bit as we go into the evening and overnight hours. That means the forecast for ahead, well, a little bit more warmth coming our way. I'll have those details coming up.
All right, Opal, thank you very much. And still breaking information happening right now. It's our top story. 4 Detroit police officers shot inside the Northwest District.
You're looking at live pictures right now, and coming up, more on how those officers are doing and how this may have happened.
Three people were hurt when gunshots rang out outside a Detroit strip club overnight. Happened around 2 a.m. at the Onyx on the city's west side. Police say a gunman shot into the crowd as people were leaving the establishment. The victims suffered minor injuries to their hands or legs. Police continue to investigate, but at this time, they have not identified any suspects or have anyone in custody.
And tomorrow, we will learn more about the serial rape suspect. Detroit Police Chief Ralph Godby and Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy have scheduled a news conference for tomorrow morning at 9 to update the case. In the meantime, the lawyer for the serial rapist spoke about the case for the first time. Attorney James Galen says his client, the suspect, told investigators he's innocent. Sources close to the investigation say the suspect's DNA matches DNA taken from some of the victims. Sources also say the victims have picked up the suspect out of a lineup. You can watch that news conference streaming live at WXYZ.com tomorrow. And we are continuing to follow that breaking news tonight. 4 Detroit police officers shot and rushed to Sinai Grace Hospital.
When we come back, we'll have the latest on their conditions and much more as this developing story unfolds on this bitterly cold Sunday night in Metro Detroit. We'll be right back. Action News investigator Scott Lewis has been talking to his sources in the police department, and he joins us on the phone now. Scott?
I've been working the phones for quite a while here. I'm getting some pretty good information on what's happened over at the Northwest District. I have confirmed that 4 officers have been shot, a commander who was shot in the back, 2 sergeants, and 1 police officer, and one of the 4 people was just grazed by gunfire. I talked with one source who is at the scene, has had a chance to look at the videotape, or at least parts of it. He says it's very graphic. And piecing it together, here's what happened today. A gunman walked into the station. At first, he looked just like a citizen coming in with some kind of business. He walked by the police desk, then fired a shot with a shotgun down a hallway, hitting a female sergeant in the chest. I'm told that the sergeant was wearing a bulletproof vest and she should be okay. After shooting her, the gunman then shot a second officer who was behind the desk, I believe on a computer. He was hit in the side of the face and the neck. My source says at that point, the commander grabbed the sergeant's gun. He exchanged shots with the gunman. The commander was hit in the back. At that point, this thing got even crazier. My source says the gunman then jumped over the counter, attempting to shoot even more police officers. That's when other cops opened fire, killing the gunman. So again, according to my sources, including one who has been at the scene and watched part of the videotape, 4 officers shot at the Northwest District. The gunman is dead. One of the officers, the commander, is the most seriously hurt, being shot in the back. He's at the hospital right now. And one of the officers received only minor injuries.
And Scott, you know, you walk into the Northwest District and the hard-working men and women of Detroit Police Department always having that one-on-one contact with citizens, wanting to try to assist in any way they can. But it really is frightening that that kind of access is allowed by the public to where someone can get that close and hurt these officers.
It is frightening, and this is why all of us should appreciate the work that police officers do. This is a job that can turn from routine to deadly in a split second. And the worst part of it is you never know when that's going to happen. Something that seems so simple can turn into a deadly incident. I was talking to one officer who works out of that Northwest District, and he tells me that officers have been complaining for years about the setup there. He says that officers sit down kind of low, so when people walk into the building, it's hard to get a good view of them. And the other complaint officers have had is that there's no bulletproof glass in the Northwest District, or for that matter, most of the police districts in Detroit. And you go into police stations in the suburbs, they have bulletproof glass to protect the police officers. So I think that this is something the Detroit Police Department is going to have to look at once the smoke clears from this terrible situation today.
Well, and you mentioned that the protective glass, but also typically when you go into those suburban police departments, those officers are sitting up high as well. And behind that protective glass, and they do have a much better view of individuals as they walk into those particular police stations.
They do, and you know, when you think about it, Dave, the police work in Detroit is as dangerous as it gets in any American city. Not that things don't happen in the suburbs, as we saw last week with a Livonia police officer who's, you know, staking out and following a burglar and winds up losing his life. But you know, Detroit is a dangerous place, and you would think that these police stations would have a little bit more security for the officers there, because when someone walks in like that, determined to hurt people, if there's no protection, no bulletproof glass, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt before you can stop them, even though all those officers are armed.
Excellent work, Scott, finding out that information. Thank you for taking some time to talk to us this evening. And we're going to go back now to the breaking news right there where it happened at the Northwest District with Tom Waite.
All right, Tom, the latest information you can provide for us.
Well, Dave and Glenda, I'm pretty much getting some of the same stuff that Scott is. However, he has much more detail than I had. I do understand that the commander was shot in the back and that one of the officers, possibly the sergeant, was grazed in the head. But I don't know for sure what their conditions are. But as I reported at the top, and as Scott just mentioned, the commander is in the most grave condition. We do understand, as Scott had that information as well, that the suspect was killed, but obviously just complete chaos here. The deputy mayor just walked out of the precinct. I asked him if he would come over and talk to us, and he said he would not. I believe he is headed over to the hospital where we have been talking about a press conference we believe that is set to begin here within, I would say, the next 20 minutes. Information continues to develop, so it's very difficult to say exactly what will come out of that press conference, but we are certainly concerned, and you are looking again at that video of someone, we're not sure if that's a suspect or one of the officers, being pulled out of the station and into an ambulance, and then of course the frantic scene that followed with the ambulances rushing here to the scene and the police cars rushing here to the scene, everyone getting here as quickly as they could. And we obviously talked to the relative just a few minutes ago who was very concerned. No doubt this is just an unnerving situation, to say the least, and just unbelievable, mind-boggling. Reporting live on the west side at Plymouth and Warwick, I'm Tom Waite, Channel 7 Action News.
All right, thank you, Tom, and stay with Action News and WXYZ.com. We're following this breaking news story. We will bring you the latest developments as soon as they happen.
And we'll switch gears now. We also have weather-making news because it is so bitterly cold outside. Olga Breeze has the word on the weather. Olga?
Well, yes, this is a dangerous kind of cold that we have right now. Our temperatures are slipping down to near 10 degrees at this hour, feeling like 0, even below 0 in a few locations already, and we're going to go quite a bit lower during the overnight. Quiet on our Viper radar loop, but we will see our winds continue from the west and the southwest, a very gentle breeze, but as those winds calm down overnight, the temperatures will drop. It feels like 10 in Pontiac right now, feels like 9 in Ann Arbor, and a wind chill of 10 out in Howell. Temperatures definitely staying on the cool side for the time being. The overnight lows will basically get us down to about 5 degrees. That's what I'm expecting for the low for tomorrow. In fact, we will keep our winds mainly out of the southeast, and that's going to provide us with some clearing as we go along. So a few of those clouds might greet us early on in tomorrow morning, but as you head head back to work and school, make sure you dress accordingly. It's going to be a very cold start to the week. Region-wide, we could see some of those zeros popping back in. Better chances for that across our northern and western suburbs. But in all, the 7-day forecast is going to feature a little bit of an improvement. Well, when you're in the dead of winter, seeing the temperature rise above 20-25 degrees is usually a pretty good thing. We've got our sunshine working for us today. We'll build in a little bit more cloud cover as we head into tomorrow, but we should hold off on the precipitation chances until we get in toward the later hours tomorrow. Your morning commute should be okay, but by the end of the day on Monday, we'll see a few of those snowflakes on the ground.
Olga, thank you. Action News is continuing to follow breaking news. You're looking at live pictures from Northwest Detroit and the district where 4 police officers were shot.
And we are waiting for a press conference by Detroit Police Chief Godby, and we'll bring it to you live as soon as it happens. Stay with us. We're back in a moment.
NFC Championship game, Packers and Bears battling for the right to go to Super Bowl 45. Close fight, as you'd expect, between the oldest rivals in the NFL with so much at stake. Just ended moments ago in dramatic fashion. Let's show you how we got here. Packers opened it up in this one, jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead. James Starks from 4 yards out makes it 14-zip, and that was the score at halftime. Bears lose Jade Cutler and Todd Collins. This is Caleb Haney, the third-string quarterback, connecting with Johnny Knox down to the 1. Next play, they give it to Chester Taylor into the end zone. The Bears are within 7. Chicago gets the ball back in the 4th, but Haney is picked off by B.J. Raji. Look at the freezer run, 18 yards, and who says that big men can't dance? The Bears not dead, though. Haney leads them quickly down the field. Hits Earl Bennett for a 35-yard touchdown. So just when you thought Green Bay had wrapped it up, Chicago's right back in there. One last shot. Haney on 4th and 4, less than a minute to play. And Sam Shields punches a Super Bowl ticket for the Packers. Just sit down. Game's over. Packers take it by a 21-14 final. They now await the winner of the Jets-Steelers game, which is about to kick off just moments from now. So the Bears, the #1 seed, knocked out as the NFC competition comes to a conclusion.
The rivals, and only one can move on.
Oh, yes. Green Bay, the bragging rights today.
Tom,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And we're going to go back out live now to Action News reporter Tom Waite, who has been following every detail of this police officer shooting. He is standing outside of the Northwest District. Tom, what can you tell us now?
Well, right now, Glenda, the investigation, as you might imagine, is in its first phase, and they are, well, there are just tons of police officers out here right now. Take a live look. This is the Northwest Precinct at the corner of Plymouth and Warwick. Very, very frantic scene here earlier tonight, as we were telling you, and as Scott Lewis just reported some very interesting new information. He says he spoke with a source who, excuse me, who saw the tape inside the police station, the surveillance videotape. According to Scott Lewis's source, what happened was the gunman came in. They thought he was just a normal citizen coming in. He had a shotgun with him. He walked up to a hallway, near a hallway, and opened fire. He hit a sergeant. He then went back into the main lobby area and shot again, opened fire once more. Another sergeant, grazing the sergeant in the neck and in the face. Then the commander of the station got involved. At that point, the gunman jumped over the counter, and shots were exchanged there as well as the commander grabbed the sergeant's gun. The commander was shot in the back, and apparently then the suspect tried going after other officers. My understanding is, my sources tell me this was going on during roll call. At that point, the officers were able to take down this gunman, and he is now dead. We spoke with a woman at the top of the broadcast who says she has a relative who works here as an officer. He is okay, but as you can imagine, she was very worried.
I was at home and I got a call that it was a shooting inside the precinct, and of course you just panic and you hurry up and get here. Now I'm just praying for the officers that's in the hospital right now.
And the latest on those conditions of those officers, I'm told, is the commander is in the most serious condition. One of the officers who worked here came out of the building right before we started the 6 o'clock news, and I had a chance to speak with her for a few minutes, and she said that she was headed over to Sinai Grace where the officers are being treated, and that she said she did not have Well, she just thought that the commander was in very bad shape. She was not optimistic, but you know what? That's very preliminary. We should wait until we hear from police and the mayor, who will be starting a press conference soon to get the exact conditions. But my sources are all telling me that the commander is in the worst shape. The sergeant who was initially shot may have been protected by her bulletproof vest, so that may have saved her. But the other officers, I understand, have not been seriously hurt. One of them may have just been a grazing injury, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. But anyway, right now we are live outside of the Northwest Precinct here at Warwick and Plymouth, where it's just the officers just trying to figure out how this could have happened. Back to you guys.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. That's Tom Waite reporting from Northwest Detroit. We'll continue our coverage of the story with the press conference. We'll carry it live when it happens.
And really saw Tom shaking his head, and that's all you can do right now is shake your head. We will have more details as they become available. Chief Godby expected to come out in a few minutes, as you said, Dave. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to join Network in Progress right now.